You ever get paid on Friday, feel good for about 11 minutes, and then by Monday, you're already doing mental math in your head? Like, okay, rent is covered. Car payment hits on the 12th. Grocery trip was way more expensive than expected. The streaming subscriptions are somehow still multiplying in the background. And then one random thing happens. A tire, a dentist bill, a birthday dinner, your dog needs something, your phone breaks, and suddenly the money you thought you had is gone. And the frustrating part is, you're not even being reckless. So you're not buying yachts. So you're not flying private. You're not ordering gold-covered steak. You're just living a normal life, and somehow every month feels like you're starting over from zero. And here's the thing that makes this so dangerous. A lot of people think the solution is to find a better investment. They think if I just find the right stock, the right side hustle, the right crypto, the right ETF, the right passive income idea, then I'll finally get ahead. Look, I get it. Investing is exciting. Budgeting is not. Stock market gains are exciting. Automatic transfers are not. A video called "This One AI Stock Could Explode" sounds way more interesting than "Please check your spending from last Tuesday." But here's what most people don't realize. The boring money moves are usually the ones that build the serious wealth, not because they're flashy, not because they make you feel rich overnight, but because they quietly fix the financial leaks that keep stealing your momentum. And once those leaks are fixed, everything else starts working better. My name is Liam, and I spend way too much time thinking about finding the perfect investment before I have mastered basic money habits. If you're someone who feels like you're doing okay financially, but every month resets back to zero, this system is built for you. Now, before we get into the 5 boring money moves, I want to challenge one assumption right away. Most people do not stay broke because they do not know enough complicated financial information. They stay stuck because they never build a simple financial system they can repeat. That is a massive difference. Because if your money only improves when you are motivated, focused, disciplined, and perfectly behaved, then your money is always going to be unstable. Real wealth is not built around perfect behavior. Real wealth is built around systems that protect you when your behavior is average. Because let's be honest, most of us are not making perfect decisions every day. We get tired, we get stressed, we spend emotionally, we avoid looking at accounts. We tell ourselves, I'll figure it out next month. And next month becomes next year. So today we're going to talk about 5 boring money moves that do not sound exciting, but can completely change your financial future if you actually do them. And I mean actually do them, not just understand them, not just nod along, not just save this video and never come back to it. Do them. Because the boring moves only work if they leave your notes app and enter your actual bank account. To make this as frictionless as possible for you, I put all 5 of these moves into a simple, one-page PDF checklist. I linked it down in the description for free, so you can track your progress as we go. All right, let's get into it. The first boring money move is building a 1-month buffer. And I know that sounds painfully basic, but stay with me. A 1-month buffer means you are not using this month's paycheck to survive this month. You are using this month's paycheck to fund next month. That one shift changes your entire relationship with money because most people are not just living paycheck to paycheck financially, they are living paycheck to paycheck emotionally. Every bill feels urgent, every unexpected expense feels personal, every delay feels like a crisis. And when you are in that state, you do not make calm financial decisions. You make survival decisions. You put something on a credit card, you skip investing, you pull money out of savings. You say yes to something you cannot really afford because you are already stressed and you just want to feel normal for a minute. According to the Federal Reserve's 2024 household well-being data, 63% of adults said they could cover a $400 emergency expense completely with cash or something equivalent. That also means about 37% could not cover that $400 emergency entirely with cash. Think about that. A $400 emergency is not some huge life disaster. That is one car repair, one urgent care visit, one appliance breaking, one surprise bill. And Bankrate's 2025 Emergency Savings Report found that only 41% of Americans said they would use savings to pay for a $1,000 emergency expense. So if you feel like you are always one unexpected expense away from losing momentum, you are not alone. But here's where it gets really interesting. A lot of people hear emergency fund and immediately imagine this massive number. 3 to 6 months of expenses, $10,000, $20,000. And because the goal feels so big, they never start. But the first target should not be perfection. The first target should be breathing room. If your monthly bills and basic expenses are $3,500, then your first goal is to create a $3,500 buffer. Not because $3,500 makes you rich, because $3,500 changes the timing of your stress. Instead of getting paid and immediately watching all your money disappear, you are now 1 month ahead. And when you are 1 month ahead, you stop making decisions from panic. That matters, because panic is expensive. Panic creates overdraft fees. Panic creates credit card debt. Panic creates bad loans. Panic makes you sell investments at the wrong time. Panic makes you say, I'll start investing once things calm down. But things rarely calm down by accident. You create calm by building a buffer. So the action step here is simple. Open a separate savings account and call it 1 month ahead. Then figure out your bare minimum monthly number. Not your dream lifestyle, not your vacation version of life, your baseline, rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, groceries, transportation, minimum debt payments, phone bill, basic living costs. Let's say that number is $3,200. Your goal is not to save $3,200 overnight. Your goal is to start buying days. If you save $100, you bought 1 day. If you save $500, you bought almost 5 days. If you save $1,600, you bought half a month. That is how you make it feel possible. You are not just saving money. You are buying distance between you and financial panic. And once you have that distance, every other money move becomes easier. The second boring money move is automating the first 10%. And I already know what some people are thinking. Liam, I can't save 10%, things are too expensive. Fair. Then start with 1%. But automate something. Because here's what most people don't realize. The real power of automation is not mathematical at first. It is psychological. Automation removes negotiation. And negotiation is where your money dies. If you have to manually decide every month whether to save, invest, or spend, you are going to lose that decision more often than you think. Not because you are weak, because your brain is built to prioritize the present. Your current self wants comfort, convenience, and takeout after a hard day. Future you wants compound growth, emergency savings, and financial independence. And the problem is, current you has the debit card. So automation is how future you gets a vote before current you spends everything. Let's use simple math. Say you make $4,000 a month after taxes. 10% is $400. If you automatically move $400 every month into savings or investments, that is $4,800 a year. That may not sound life-changing, but if you invest $400 a month for 30 years and earn an average annual return of 7%, you end up with roughly $453,000. Now, that is not a guarantee. Markets go up and down. Returns are never perfectly smooth. But the point is not that $400 magically makes you rich. The point is that consistency turns ordinary amounts into serious money. Now, let's say you can only start with $100 a month. At 7% over 30 years, that can grow to around $113,000. Again, not guaranteed, but still powerful. Especially when you realize the habit matters more than the starting amount. Because a person who saves $100 automatically is often in a better position than someone who plans to save $1,000 manually, but never actually does it. Look, motivation is unreliable and automation is not. So here's the action step. Set up an automatic transfer for the day after you get paid, not the end of the month. the day after you get paid. Because if you wait until the end of the month to save what is left over, life will make sure there is nothing left over. Start with 1%, 3%, 5%, or 10%. The number matters less than the identity shift. You are becoming the kind of person who pays your future first. That sounds cheesy, but it is real. Because when saving becomes automatic, wealth building stops being an event. It becomes your default setting. The third boring money move is tracking your net worth once a month. Not every day, not obsessively, once a month. And yes, this is boring and it feels like homework, but it is one of the most important habits because it tells you whether your financial life is actually improving. Your income can go up while your wealth stays flat. Your lifestyle can look better while your net worth gets worse. Your bank account can feel okay while your debt quietly grows in the background. That is why tracking net worth matters. Net worth is simple: assets minus liabilities. What you own minus what you owe. Assets are things like cash, savings, investments, retirement accounts, home equity, and maybe business assets. Liabilities are credit cards, student loans, car loans, personal loans, medical debt, and mortgage debt. If you have $20,000 in savings and investments, but $8,000 in credit card debt, your net worth is not $20,000. It is $12,000. And I know that can feel uncomfortable, but uncomfortable clarity is better than comfortable confusion. This is where a lot of people mess up. They track their income, they track their credit score, they track the stock market, they track whether their friend got a new car, but they do not track the one number that shows whether they are actually building ownership. And that is what wealth is: ownership. Not income, not vibes, not appearing successful. Ownership. If your net worth is increasing over time, you are building. If your net worth is flat, something is leaking. If your net worth is falling, you need to stop and pay attention. Now you might be thinking, but Liam, my net worth is embarrassing. Good. Track it anyway. The number is not a moral judgment. It is a dashboard. If your car says you have 12 miles of gas left, you do not get offended at the dashboard. You use the information, money works the same way. Let's say Liam, and yes, we'll use me as the example because apparently I enjoy being financially humbled, has $2,000 in checking, $3,000 in savings, $9,000 in a retirement account, and $6,000 in credit card debt. His net worth is $8,000. Not terrible, not amazing, just real. Now, if Liam checks again next month and his net worth is $8,400, that is progress. If it is $7,600, he needs to ask why. Was it market movement, overspending, new debt, a big necessary expense? Tracking does not solve everything by itself, but it creates awareness. And awareness changes behavior because what gets measured gets managed. So here's the action step. Pick one day per month, maybe the first Sunday. Open a simple spreadsheet. Write 4 columns: cash, investments, debt, net worth. That is it. Do not overcomplicate this. The goal is not to become a spreadsheet wizard. The goal is to stop lying to yourself accidentally. Because once you see the trend, you will start making different decisions. You will hesitate before adding debt. You will care more about investing. You will stop confusing a high income with actual wealth. And before we move on, I want to ask you something. Which of these boring money moves do you think would make the biggest difference in your life right now? Is it building a 1-month buffer, automating your savings or investing, tracking your net worth, or just finally creating a system so every month does not feel like a reset? Drop your answer in the comments because I'm curious where most people feel the biggest gap is. And honestly, sometimes writing it down is the first moment you stop avoiding it. The fourth boring money move is creating a 24-hour rule for non-essential purchases. This one sounds too simple to matter, but it matters because spending is emotional. Most people do not overspend because they carefully planned to ruin their financial future. They overspend because a moment of emotion turns into a purchase. Stress spending, reward spending, boredom spending, convenience spending, identity spending. You buy something because you are tired, or because you had a hard week, or because everyone else has it, or because it was on sale, or because it made you feel like the kind of person you want to become. And look, there is nothing wrong with enjoying your money. Money is not only for spreadsheets and retirement accounts, but if your spending constantly steals from your future, then your money is not serving you. It is distracting you. The 24-hour rule is simple. For any non-essential purchase over a certain amount, maybe $50, maybe $100, maybe $200, you wait 24 hours before buying. That's it. No dramatic restriction, no never spend money again. Just a pause, because a pause creates space between impulse and identity. And in that space, you often realize you did not actually want the thing. You wanted the feeling. You wanted relief. You wanted control. You wanted excitement. You wanted to feel like you were making progress. And this is why companies make buying so frictionless. One-click checkout, saved cards, buy now, pay later, limited time offers, countdown timers, free shipping thresholds. All of this is designed to shorten the distance between desire and purchase. So your job is to add distance back in, not because you are cheap, because you are intentional. Let's do the math. Say you make 3 impulse purchases a week at $25 each. That is $75 a week, about $300 a month, $3,600 a year. Now imagine redirecting even half of that. $150 a month invested at a 7% average annual return over 30 years could grow to roughly $170,000. Again, not guaranteed, but the math is eye-opening. Because what looks like small spending is often future wealth leaking out in tiny transactions. This is where it gets really interesting. The goal is not to eliminate every small purchase. The goal is to identify which purchases actually improve your life and which ones are just emotional noise. Some spending is worth it. Dinner with someone you love? Maybe worth it. A tool that helps you earn more? Maybe worth it. A gym membership you actually use? Worth it. But random purchases you forget about 3 days later? That is where wealth disappears. So here's the action step. Create a note in your phone called waitlist. Anytime you want to buy something non-essential over your chosen amount, put it on the list with the date and price. Wait 24 hours. If you still want it and it fits your plan, buy it without guilt. But if the urge fades, move that money towards savings, investing, or debt. That one habit can make you feel like you got a raise without earning a dollar more. Because sometimes the fastest way to build wealth is not making more. It is keeping more of what already passed through your hands. The fifth boring money move is increasing your investing rate every time your income rises. This is the move that can quietly change everything. Because most people do not lose the wealth game when they are broke. They lose it when they start earning more. That sounds strange, but it is true. When income rises, lifestyle usually rises with it. You get a raise, and suddenly the car feels outdated. You get a promotion, and suddenly the apartment feels too small. You make more money, and suddenly the restaurants get nicer, the trips get bigger, the subscriptions multiply, and the little upgrades become normal. This is called lifestyle creep. And lifestyle creep is dangerous because it does not feel like failure. It feels like progress. You tell yourself, I worked hard. I deserve this. And maybe you do. But if every raise becomes a lifestyle upgrade, your income goes up while your freedom stays exactly the same. That is the trap. The boring wealth move is to decide in advance that every raise gets split. For example, 50% improves your life today, 50% builds your freedom tomorrow. Let's say you get a $500 monthly raise after taxes. Most people absorb the whole $500 into life. A little more eating out, a higher car payment, nicer clothes, more convenience. And 6 months later, they barely remember where it went. But what if you invested $250 of that raise every month and kept $250 for lifestyle? Now you still feel some reward, but you are also building wealth. Investing $250 a month for 30 years at a 7% average annual return could grow to around $283,000. That is the hidden power of not letting your lifestyle eat every raise. And if your income continues to grow and you keep increasing your investing rate, the effect gets even bigger. Here's what most people don't realize. You do not have to live like you are broke forever to become wealthy. You just have to stop upgrading your lifestyle at the exact same speed as your income. That gap is where wealth is built. Income minus lifestyle equals opportunity. The bigger the gap, the faster you build. And I want to be clear. I am not saying never enjoy your money. That advice sounds responsible, but it is unrealistic. If you make more money and never let yourself enjoy any of it, you will eventually rebel against your own plan. You will overspend. You will quit. You will tell yourself finance advice is miserable. So yes, enjoy some of the raise, but capture part of it before it disappears. Here's the action step. Before your next raise, bonus, tax refund, side hustle income, or extra paycheck arrives, decide the split. Not after, before. Because once the money lands, your brain starts assigning it to wants. So decide early. Maybe your rule is 50% investing, 30% savings, 20% fun, or maybe 70% debt payoff, 20% investing, 10% guilt-free spending. The exact formula depends on your situation, but the principle is the same. Do not let new money enter your life without a job because unassigned money becomes lifestyle. And lifestyle is very good at making money disappear while convincing you that you are doing better. So let's bring this together. The 5 boring money moves are: build a 1-month buffer, automate the first 10%, or start with whatever percentage you can. Track your net worth once a month. Use a 24-hour rule for non-essential purchases. Increase your investing rate every time your income rises. None of these sound exciting. None of them will make someone gasp at a party. No one is going to say, "Wait, you automated your savings? Tell me everything." But this is the foundation, and the reason these moves work is because they attack the real problem. The real problem is not that you have never heard of investing. The real problem is that your financial life may not have enough structure to turn knowledge into progress, because knowledge without systems becomes entertainment. And that is exactly where Liam was stuck. He knew about index funds, and he knew about dividend stocks. He knew about market cycles. He knew about side hustles. He knew enough finance vocabulary to sound responsible. But every month, his bank account still reset back to zero. Why? Because he was trying to skip the boring part. And the boring part is where the compounding starts. Not just financial compounding, behavioral compounding. When you build a buffer, your stress goes down. When your stress goes down, your decisions improve. When your decisions improve, you spend less impulsively. When you spend less impulsively, you save more. When you save more, you invest more. When you invest more, your net worth rises. When your net worth rises, you feel more confident. When you feel more confident, you make even better decisions. That is compounding. It is not just numbers on a chart. It is your entire financial identity getting stronger over time. And this is why boring money moves are so powerful. They do not just change your accounts, they change who you believe you are. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is always catching up. You start seeing yourself as someone who is building. And that identity shift matters because when you believe you are building, you behave differently. You pause before spending. You invest before upgrading. You check your numbers instead of avoiding them. You stop chasing the perfect investment and start becoming the kind of person who can actually benefit from investing. That is the part people miss. A great investment cannot save a bad financial system. If you have no emergency fund, no spending control, no consistency, and no ability to stay invested, then even a good investment can turn into a bad outcome. Because you might be forced to sell it, you might panic, you might stop contributing, you might take on debt while your investments sit untouched. So before you ask, what should I invest in? Ask, am I financially stable enough to invest consistently? That question is less exciting, but it's much more useful. Now you might be thinking, Liam, this is too basic. I already know this stuff. Okay, but are you doing it? Because basic and easy are not the same thing. Most people know they should save. Most people know they should invest. Most people know they should spend less than they make. Most people know credit card debt is expensive. The issue is not awareness. The issue is execution. And boring money moves force execution. Another objection might be, I do not make enough money for this to matter. And look, If your income is genuinely too low to cover basic needs, then yes, increasing income matters. I would never pretend that budgeting alone fixes everything. But even then, these habits still matter. Because if your income doubles but your habits don't change, the same money problems often come back at a higher income level. That is why you see people making $40,000 feeling broke, then $70,000 and feeling broke, then $120,000 and still feel behind. More income helps, but more income without structure just gives your bad habits more room to run. Another objection: what if I'm behind? Then start. That's the answer. Not because starting instantly fixes everything, but because waiting makes the problem heavier. The best time to build these habits was years ago. The second best time is before another month resets back to zero. Look, serious wealth usually does not feel serious while you are building it. It feels boring. It feels repetitive. It feels like transferring $100 when you wish it were $1,000. It feels like saying no to something small. It feels like opening a spreadsheet when you would rather ignore it. It feels like choosing an automatic investment over a lifestyle upgrade. But years later, those boring decisions start looking very different. The $100 transfers become thousands. The emergency fund becomes peace. The avoided debt becomes freedom. The monthly investing becomes ownership. The tracked net worth becomes proof that you are moving. And one day, you realize your life changed, not because of one perfect investment, but because you stopped letting money disappear without a plan. That is what Infinite Ledger is about. Tracking it, growing it, compounding it, not chasing hype, not pretending wealth is instant, not acting like motivation is enough, but building the kind of financial system that can carry you through real life. So your challenge today is simple. Pick one move from this video and do it before the day ends. Open the savings account, set the automatic transfer, create the net worth tracker, make the 24-hour wait list, decide your raise rule. Just one. Because the goal is not to become perfect. The goal is to create momentum. And once money has momentum, everything starts to feel different. If this helped you, subscribe to Infinite Ledger, hit the like button, and leave a comment with the one boring money move you are going to start with. And remember, the exciting money moves might get your attention, but the boring ones are usually what build your wealth.